Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we'll be taking the second look at the Skenco hypervelocity field pellets, also known as the Skenco orange stingers in 177 caliber. They are exactly what they look like. They are a plastic cased, really hard metal projectile two-piece pellet, and if you check it out, this is what a separated pellet looks like after it's been collected from downrange. The left-hand side of that orange casing, actually, you can see the black marks on it. That's from the rifling in the bore of my barrel, so the pellet fits well enough in the bore to be able to actually catch the rifling, which is good for a plastic-cased pellet. Excuse me. Also, you can kind of get a sense for how long the PBA metal part of the pellet actually is. It's much longer than I had originally thought. It's actually taller than a standard Crossman destroyer, so the length of that metal projectile by itself is taller than a Crossman destroyer standard pellet. Very, very, very long. I don't know, it kind of reminds me like 1942 Nuclear said of a 223 round. To kind of go ahead and showcase the hardness of the material, I punched it through a 22 gauge steel plate, which is the thickest plate that I have laying around. I have no thicker material to shoot at than this right now. But the orange stinger was able to twice punch cleanly through this plate, and a third time just barely crack through. You can kind of see some light reflecting through that top left hole of it. This was from 20 yards with a Gammo Big Cat 1200, and this is not flimsy material. I can't bend this. This is a seriously thick material. I would venture a guess to say that this is probably the material that a car door or a car fender is made out of, to give you a reference of how thick it actually is. And this was the round that punched right through that bottom hole. Totally undamaged whatsoever, and was able to do this from 20 yards. To give you guys an idea of accuracy and grouping, this is a 10-shot group, also from 20 yards, using the center of that black dot as my aim point. So they do shoot a little bit low, but that group is that big from 20 yards. And if you adjusted your scope to where the aim point and the point of impact around 20 yards was about the same, this absolutely rivals Crossman Premier Hollow Points or Crossman Destroyers as far as accuracy, grouping, and consistency, which I'm really surprised at, considering the 5.4 grain lightweight supersonic aspect of this pellet. Usually a supersonic pellet won't be that accurate, just based on the lack of weight and the increased velocity. Kind of take a look at some unfired ones here. Nice looking pellets. Very clean. Nice and shiny right from the factory. You can see there's a little bit of a cup at the back behind the skirt. I think this helps to catch the air that the piston creates and maybe creates a better seal. I'm not sure. Really nice looking. Decently priced too. It was like 9 something for 200 pellets. And these pellets penetrate deeper into clay and glycerin soap than anything else I've ever fired. And also are the only pellets I've ever fired from my Big Cat 1200 to be able to punch through this 22 gauge steel plate. Final thing I want to show you guys here is this clay test. This is roughly 2.5 inches of penetration into this clay. At about 3/4 of an inch, the casing shed, and you can see exactly what that round did. The round continued straight for about maybe 1 inch up to this point, at which point it decided it was going to tumble end over end. And if this had been a smaller medium, like small varmint, would have done definite damage, considering how that projectile had started to already cartwheel through the target. In any event, that's my second look at the Skenco hypervelocity field pellets in 177 caliber. Alright, you guys, thanks. Rate and subscribe.